Home prices are getting slashed across the country, and home sellers are waking up to the reality that this isn't the same real estate market of 1 or 2 years ago. Prices have been dropping faster than we've seen in years. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a major shift happening in the housing market that you need to be aware of, which is going to create challenges and opportunities depending on which side of the market you're on. But first, we need to talk about the price cuts because the data is simply alarming. A recent report by Realtor.com shows that the percentage of homes with price cuts just hit 17% in February of 2025. This is the highest number since 2016. Now we can see that inventory has risen sharply since the same time in 2024, with almost 250,000 more homes up for sale, and listings are sitting on the market for longer, about 66 days on average. And as more and more buyers simply stay on the sidelines, home sellers are being forced to adjust their expectations to the new reality of this real estate market. Now, data from Realtor.com's February market report shows that the number of homes actively for sale continues to be higher compared with last year, growing by 27.5%, while the total number of unsold homes, including homes that are already under contract, increased by 18.2% compared with last year. And look, for a long time, real estate agents, home builders, mortgage lenders, even myself included, we assumed that as soon as prices started to come down and rates begin to drop, buyers that have been on the sidelines would just start showing up, propping up prices again. But guess what, guys? That's really not happening right now. Because plain and simple, most people really just believe that homes are still too expensive and interest rates are too high. In fact, the national surveys show that 80% of Americans living in rural communities believe that housing affordability is getting worse in their community, while 72% of residents in urban areas feel the same. Meanwhile, consumer confidence has plunged to multi-year lows from concerns regarding the tariffs and inflation, and with rising inventory and homes sitting on the market for longer, more sellers are pulling their listings off the market altogether. And data from CoreLogic shows that in December alone, there was a 64% spike in delistings, with 73,000 homes being pulled from the market completely. Now you combine that with sluggish sales through January, and really, it's no surprise that sellers are slashing their prices to stay competitive. In Phoenix and Tampa, two of the hottest housing markets during the pandemic, and really a couple of the hottest markets of the last few years, they're now seeing the biggest drops in home prices, with over 30% of all the listings experiencing some sort of price cut. And not far behind, we see markets such as Jacksonville, Florida, Denver, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Dallas, Orlando, Nashville, with over 25% price cuts in all of their listings. And in some of these markets, it's taken significantly longer for homes to sell compared to a few months ago. For example, in Austin, Texas, the average days on market is 67 days. Now, this is a clear indication that buyers are just not as eager or willing to pay top dollars for homes anymore. And I want you to take a look at this property, Miami, Florida, which sold for $1.37 million on October of 2024. The owner was trying to sell her on a short sale at $1.9 million in January, but now they've dropped the price a whopping 38.5% at $1.1 million after being on the market for really nearly 4 months. This home in 2022 would have sold in just a matter of days and possibly in a cash deal. And now let's take a look at this other property in Austin, Texas. The seller simply cannot give this thing away, initially listing it for $335,000 nearly a year ago, and they have dropped the price multiple times and delisting it a few times as well. The most recent price change to $289,000 at this point. If this is an investor-owned property, that investor is losing money big time. And if it was a flip, it probably has the potential of going into foreclosure, as most hard money loans mature in about a year or so. And I don't want you to fall for these type of headlines. Yesterday, the National Association of Realtors reported that existing home sales accelerated by 4.2% in February. If you actually read the report, this data is pretty weak. First off, overall sales slipped 1.2% from 1 year ago, while the inventory of unsold existing homes climbed by 5.1% from the prior month to 1.24 million at the end of February. And if you look at the data even closer, we can clearly see that the majority of sales were made up by people buying homes above 750,000. So basically, it's your more affluent buyer. Because if we look for homes in the first-time home buyer, or let's just kind of call it the blue-collar range between $100,000 to $400,000, sales were really poor nationwide. Only the Midwest saw a somewhat positive improvement. But it's not just individual sellers, because home builders are feeling the heat too right now. New data shows that builder confidence has dropped to a 7-month low as fewer buyers are showing interest in purchasing new homes, and as more and more sellers cut the prices of homes in rising inventory, builders are offering incentives and price reductions to lure potential buyers. This is from the first quarter earnings call of Lennar, one of the largest home builders in the country. They reported that the average sales price of homes delivered was $408,000 in the first quarter of 2025 compared to $413,000 in the first quarter of 2024. And the reason for the decrease in the average sales price delivered in the first quarter compared to that same period of last year is because of, well, weakness in the market. So what does this mean for home buyers and sellers? Well, if you are in the market for a new home, now it might actually be a decent time to start looking. You may see homes being sold at 10 to 25% lower than what they were in 2024, and even 30% of their all-time highs, which kind of peaked around 2023. And if you're a home seller at this point, depending on where you are, you may just need to align your expectations with the current market conditions. Although I will say that there are some markets that are still seller markets, such as San Jose, California, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Seattle, Washington, and many other markets in the Northeast. They're still very much seller markets where you still have an advantage. But if you are on the Sun Belt or in a market that exploded thanks to COVID, you need to be aware that really your asset isn't worth what it was 1 year ago or even 2 years ago. All right, guys, that's basically all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comment box below, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.